Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 4 Seafoam. Specifically, we'll be discussing some release info, how to cop, and of course, some resale predictions at the end of the video. The Jordan 4 Seafoam releases on February 9th. Retail is $200 for women's sizes. Stock between all sizes combined is over 180,000 pairs, which is above average for Jordan 4, but nowhere near the rumored 1 million pairs that you may have seen on social media. I have no idea where that's deriving from. As for resale, we'll get to that at the end of the video, as always. Before jumping into the how to cop, I figured I'd let you know that you could win a free Gargantua key by entering the Twitter giveaway right now. The wait is finally over. After several months, Gargantua is finally having another limited restock tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Given that Snipes will most likely be dropping the upcoming Jordan 4 Seafoam and also the Jordan 4 Photon, I figured this would be a good time to give some new people an opportunity to try out the bypass. But of course, Gargantua offers so much more than just that. You can even pay off the extremely cheap renewal with just the freebie food and Uber Eats modules alone. So if you're interested, the restock is tomorrow, February 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time via the Gargantua_AIO Twitter, where you could also enter the free giveaway. Specifically, for this how to cop, we'll be going in chronological order, along with exactly how to efficiently manage your time and prepare for this drop, since a lot is going to be going on at once. Prior to discussing the first come first serve online drops, please make sure that you don't forget to sign up for the Flex app reservations. This is one of the best ways to get pairs, as well as asking your local foot stores about their procedure for the leftover pairs. Remember, I will always post the full site list on my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and Personals for you, along with any urgent updates such as recent shock drops we have seen. But now, moving on to the online first come first serve sites, we'll start with US sites in chronological order. At 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we may potentially see Undefeated drop, unless of course they do announce a drop for 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which they have done on some recent drops. Before this time, make sure that you are signed into your Undefeated account, as it is required for the site to check out. Be ready to solve a checkpoint captcha as well, and if you don't have access to a Shopify monitor, you could also try refreshing the search page for AJ4, but your chances of copying will be slim regardless since it is Shopify. Now, moving on to the confirmed 10 a.m. Eastern Time drops, this is where the actual fun begins, as usual. Since there's a lot to focus on, I'm going to guide you and suggest to you how to efficiently manage your time as usual. First, I would suggest going for Hibbett as your first come first serve choice at precisely 10 a.m. Eastern Time, since Hibbett will sell out quickly. This is what I've been suggesting recently, and it's been going well, so we won't change this up just yet. You might also get the press and hold captcha loop, so just some tips to prevent that. Like we discussed in the prior how to cop guide, go to the coming soon page on the Hibbett calendar right before 10 a.m., click the Jordan 4, then scroll down slowly until you see the sizes. If you scroll too quickly, you'll keep getting caught into that captcha loop. And my biggest advice in general here is to use Apple Pay on your mobile device for the most efficient checkout. Or, as an alternative to Hibbett, you could choose one or two Shopify sites to focus on precisely 10 a.m. Eastern Time, since those are also very time sensitive. Since a high shipping rate won't matter when it comes to these, your best bet might be Shop Nice Kicks or Shoe Palace, since they tend to get the most stock. But even those will be nearly impossible manually. Again, I suggest using Hibbett, but it's up to you. You could also try DTLR or Jimmy Jazz if you prefer. Regardless, both of these still will be harder than going for Hibbett. So in conclusion, your 10 a.m. first come first serve focus should be Hibbett, but those are your other time sensitive alternatives if you desire. Now, right after those first come first serve drops are over, or even while you're waiting in a Shopify queue, I want you guys to enter in as many sneakers accounts as possible into the drop. This is going to be your number one chance by far for copying these, of course. Now, what's the most efficient way to cop off sneakers manually? These are currently loaded as a Leo release, let everyone order. Essentially, this is like a 2-minute raffle, so try to get in as many accounts as possible within that period. My biggest advice in general is to use, of course, as many unique devices as possible, and I actually made an in-depth video regarding why this is. I'd highly recommend checking it out if you want some more information regarding it. After sneakers, you normally want to shift your focus to periodically checking Finish Line, JD Sports, and Snipes to see if you have passed queue. Finish Line and JD did not do status access this week, so there should be quite a lot of stock available on the online release. Regarding Snipes, if you pass the queue here, it is definitely possible to cop manually, but passing the queue is the hard part. Now, with Gargantua AIO, you could generate bypass links, so it's always a cookout for users, but it is still possible to pass naturally too, just very low probability. So remember, the Gargantua restock will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you who might be interested. Foot sites are simply not worth your time at all. They will be impossible manually, as always. Open just one tab for Finish Line and JD each. Too many will get your IP banned. Make sure to set up the tabs for all these sites beforehand. You should set them up as soon as you see my account tweet out the links. This way, they're already ready to go and waiting in queue after you're done entering on sneakers. But anyway, now moving on to some Europe releases. Although many Europe retailers are doing raffles, there are still some first come first serve drops to prepare for. The best drop for Europe would of course be Nike sneakers at 9 a.m. CET. Just like US, it is going to be a Leo drop there, so just try to get in as many accounts as possible within 2 minutes. It is also extremely likely that Soulbox and Snipes Europe will be dropping at 9 a.m. CET as usual. If you have access to a Soulbox and Snipes monitor, you might have a decent chance of copying manually here. I would also suggest making accounts beforehand and being signed in, of course. Zalando might potentially drop, but they have not loaded just yet anyway. And then Offspring may potentially drop too. For Offspring, I'd suggest enabling post notifications for their Instagram if you don't have access to a monitor. They're relatively fast at sending it out when they do go live, but they normally don't drop at 9 a.m. CET whenever they do, so there's no need to focus on here at precisely 9, especially because their first come first serve drops in general have become much less common. Foot Locker will also be dropping, but again, similar to US, there isn't much manual chance here regardless. That will be it for the How to Cop portion of the video. Now, with the How to Cop out of the way, let's move on to resale predictions. First of all, stock on these is above average for Jordan 4, but not by much. Certainly not what is being talked about on social media right now. Furthermore, demand on these is very high, like many Jordan 4s with a black and white leather primary. Of course, demand isn't as high as they were for the military blacks, but it does appear higher than other 4s we've seen, such as the Jordan 4 Infrared. Retail is also $200 rather than $210, which only helps with the margin. So overall, I am expecting these to be profitable in all sizes, but only large size 10 and up should have a good margin, with the smaller sizes going from decent to subpar to poor margin, depending on how small they are. Nonetheless, I see this being a pretty promising drop, but I'll have more precise predictions out tomorrow for the seller hold video. Anyway, that'll conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Remember that the limited Gargantua restock will be tomorrow, February 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time via the Gargantua_AIO Twitter, and you could also feel free to enter the free giveaway there. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast residential proxies from Kip Proxies. You can also feel free to follow Endurance on Twitter for upcoming restocks. And last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for You. This way, you guys stay updated on all urgent info like the shock drops I mentioned today. With that, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on the release.